I am Jean Caris. I've been living in the desert for 41 years. I'm from New York, as you probably can tell from the accent I haven't lost. And I love living here. It's the best place I could have chosen.
Jean Caris was born in Manhattan, New York. She had a diversified youth. Because her father was not a well man, she and her older brother Robert became very close. She always wanted to earn her own keep. She chose to take every babysitting job offered to her because she loved children. She was independent before her teenage years. As a young woman, Jean spent her summers working in the resorts in the Pocono Mountains, mainly because their theater groups gave her the chance to realize her dream of becoming a dancer. Many of the entertainers of that era became famous in show business. Her first husband saw her dancing the shows and made every attempt to meet her early in the season. They married as soon as they returned to New York. That marriage lasted 11 years. She continued working her day job and danced weekends in Manhattan clubs and off-Broadway theater. Jean married again after she met Jerry Caris, who worked for Metro Media, which was in the radio, television, and outdoor advertising business. This company held all their manager meetings in Palm Springs. On their trips there, Jean just fell in love with the desert. In 1972, Jean and Jerry decided to own and operate their own radio stations. By 1985, they were the largest independent radio broadcasters in the business. In 1980, Jean bought her first home in Deepwell Ranch. By 1985, she was a full-time resident. She was trying to figure out how to utilize her time. She always believed that education and children were the most important. So with that guiding principle, she got involved, and she hasn't stopped. Here's what Jean says about her education.
To be very honest with you, I was glad to get out of high school. My education was on the streets in New York. I wasn't kidding. I was a child that was in foster care until I was 8 years old. I wanted to have some freedom and to make my own money. So from the time I was 9 years old, I was babysitting every night I could. I was working on the main street in town, Christmas, holidays, and like that to earn extra money. I was always with more mature looking men of my age as indicated. And I never stopped. And I love working.
Her first foray into the charity world started with the Brandeis University in Waltham, Massachusetts, which just happened to have a fundraising chapter here in the desert. She had seen an ad in the local paper about a trip the group was taking to the Amundsen Theater in Los Angeles. She signed up, went on the trip, and within a year, she was the new president. She not only ran the local chapter, she was also invited to join the national board. Jean's volunteer work is unmatched. She has been a volunteer with the following organizations: the Palm Springs Opera Guild, Tools for Tomorrow, the World Affairs Council, the Philharmonic Guild of the Desert, McCallum Theater, Education Ambassador, Alzheimer's Association, the Anti-Defamation League, College of the Desert, Palm Springs International Piano Competition, Jewish Family Service of the Desert, Variety, the Children's Charity of the Desert, Angel View, and the Rancho Mirage Library, just to name a few. Jean says that anything to do with children and education is for me, not only with her time and her talent, but also resources. Jean has led the way for people to make a difference, especially women. Jean's life has been the stuff of legends. She was a pilot, built 3 different homes, one in New York, one in Florence, Oregon, and one in Rancho Mirage. She bought an Airstream trailer and traveled Alaska. She loves to travel and writes essays about her travels, her children, and her life. She is a force. She describes herself as a frustrated comic. She is funny and doesn't hold back a punchline, says it like it is, and is one of the most kind and amazing women in our valley. Let's hear from Jean herself.